Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no. Check it out. Look at that. Cinderella colors. That's really pretty. The reciprocal lights of the color of Cinderella. Her dress from the live-action Cinderella movie was a dress that I will never ever forget. And the color scheme of Chloe Charming, the character played by Malia Baker, being blue was really beautiful too, really outstanding in its own right. And I've shown a greater appreciation for all of these characters through these videos that I've uploaded because I know how much they mean to each and every one of your hearts, either collectively or individually. Everybody's felt inspired by a favorite character from Descendants or a moment they've shared with their friends or talked about for forever, a certain song that defines them and their legacy. Because everybody has a legacy. Cinderella had a legacy. Alice had a legacy from her journeys through Wonderland and her encounters with Jabberwockies and White Rabbits and Mad Hatters and Cherokee Cats. It was a really fun time to be a fan of Disney over 35 years ago, which is why there's a greater appreciation for the stars of the Descendants franchise who have done everything in their power to bring this franchise more to life than it's ever been brought to life before. And that's what I really appreciate about this. This is why I've always wanted to be the writer and director and producer and get in all the action, because in all honesty, there's a greater story and a greater appreciation to be had for your favorite characters from Cinderella who have yet to see their introduction into this franchise, like Alice herself and Cinderella's characters like her stepsisters. I mean, there are so many opportunities to create with Descendants of Zombies. You know, I will never forget that iconic ballroom scene where Cinderella realized she had found true love after being on this incredible journey, after being held down by her sisters and her mother, her evil stepmother, who I think a lot of people had a greater appreciation for her story when they saw the live-action Cinderella for the first time in 2015. I remember being blown away by the live-action Cinderella and Lily May's portrayal of that character because she was able to bring it to life in a way nobody else ever could for a live-action. And I remember the dress that they designed for Cinderella to be 45 minutes in length. If you were actually to walk the fabric of Cinderella's dress, it would take you 45 minutes to walk it. So to put that into perspective, I have a sidewalk outside my house, and if I were to spread the full length of the fabric across that sidewalk, we'd be walking it for 45 minutes. But I think that through our discovery of the passion that's existed for Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella characters, we've also gained a greater appreciation for it. And we've been able to tell stories inspired by our own life about how we've been fans of Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella for what feels like forever. And I think that really has showcased Descendants of Zombies for its true value and its true worth. And I think that if we're talking about Descendants of Zombies on a YouTube channel, we should talk about it in a way that it presents meaning and it presents case in point. Because you've really got to get to a case in point about Descendants of Zombies and present an argument as to why you believe this story is far from over. And I, for one, believe this story is far from over because of the greater appreciation of characters that have yet to see their introduction into this franchise. Like I've been forever asking, where is Alice? I say this because Alice had this curiosity that really brought a character from Disney to life in a way that no other character had ever been brought to life before. Sometimes her curiosity would get the better of her for her desire to want to explore the nature of a Jabberwocky or chase a white rabbit down a rabbit hole, but through chasing a white rabbit down through a rabbit hole, she accomplished all of her dreams, and she achieved something far greater. And I think that if you're discussing a role for Ruby to come back and reprise, if it's not Bridget, it could be Alice, because I've been asking for forever where Alice in Wonderland is. I say this because I may be saying this because I've read the books, and there are a total of 4 of them. And I remember seeing the book Alice in Wonderland premiere on the bookshelves just before Christmas in the 1800s, and reading about that many hundreds of years later, because I think there's a greater appreciation behind literature that a lot of successful franchises are inspired by, which is why I really appreciate how they turned Descendants into a literature experience for a lot of people who were being introduced into reading, and they wanted interesting reads. And I think they found that with the Descendants books, because there are a total of like 6 or 7 of them in the series, and there's one new currently in development now, and that's something to be very excited about. So if we want to talk about something when it comes to Descendants of Zombies, perhaps we should talk about the next literary read, which is going to offer us more in the way of insight into the characters' adventures and what they're going to encounter, and it will present an opportunity to create a new movie off the new book that will be entered into the franchise. So I think that there's so much of a conversation that can be had about Descendants of Zombies that can be more appreciated by fans because there's so much to talk about than just the latest chapter of the movie. There's so much discussion that can be had about the dolls and the special anniversary dolls and how much they mean to each and everybody, because I know how everybody collects their favorite Descendants of Zombies merch. Now, to be honest with each and every one of you, the merch that we see in the backdrops of a lot of videos for Descendants and Zombies fans really doesn't tell me a whole lot about the person uploading the video to YouTube, because I like to get to know the host of a show more than I do about the franchise. Because watching a video about a franchise, let's say I'm a fan of Gargoyles, like I've been for over 30 years, I know everything there is about Gargoyles ever before I watch a video on it. I know everything there is to know about Sailor Moon because I have a greater appreciation for Japanese animation than ever before watching a video. So I think there's a greater appreciation and an unbreakable bond between the host of a show and its audience, because it's something special. So one of the greatest honors of my life was getting to know each and every one of you for being Descendants and Zombies fans. Some of you were fans of the character Red, some of you were fans of the character Chloe Charming, and I think that's really cool. And I think that your passions have become stronger because you believe in yourself more, you're feeling more confident because you see these stars going through the same things you may be going through in your own life. And I really appreciate how they connect with each and every one of you to make you feel as if you're a part of something special. And that's something I took away from the Worlds Collide Tour, and I was very appreciative of, because a lot of concert experience Disney has put off over the years and collaborated and been a part of, like High School Musical and Hannah Montana, they may have been immersive experiences, but was anything as far more immersive as what Descendants and Zombies Worlds Collide was this past summer. I got to be honest with each and every one of you, I had the greatest honor of my life this summer, talking about Descendants and Zombies Worlds Collide, because I saw the appreciation not only from the fans but also from the stars who were a part of this. And I think that if we were going to upload videos about Descendants and Zombies Worlds Collide, we should have went out of our way to talk about Descendants and Zombies Worlds Collide with such prestige and honor. And that's what I've loved talking about Descendants and Zombies because of for so much. Because I think that this universe is only so big, and out there somewhere today in this universe, there was a girl who wants to watch the latest Descendants and Zombies video because she's excited about Descendants 5 Book of Wonderland this coming summer, and she's excited about Zombies 5, so give her what she wants. Upload videos that she loves. Upload videos that she will hit your subscribe button because of, and come away with a greater appreciation for your channel and for you. Because the greatest honor of my life was never to talk about Descendants and Zombies, it was to put a smile on somebody's face, because I believed in Descendants and Zombies as much as what you did. You know, I've been involved in a lot of relationships where the girls that I dated had daughters of their own that loved Descendants and Zombies, and I would be the guy watching Descendants and Zombies with them, because I had a greater appreciation than their mom ever did about Descendants and Zombies, and that was the greatest honor of my life also, because I was able to introduce myself to them for the first time ever, and we could relate to something that we felt very passionate about. Now, that may have been weird to their mom, but the thing was, I always had a greater appreciation for these characters and the emphasis that they put on a story and how much further they took a story and how they wanted to introduce themselves to you, to a whole new generation of Disney fans, which is very challenging to do because Disney fans of this generation are far more smarter than they're ever given credit for from 30 years ago, because I grew up as a millennial from 1986 to the year 2000. And at the turn of the millennium, Disney was coming into live-action TV shows like Wizards and Hannah Montana and Sweet Life and Phineas and Ferb, and Kim Possible was being turned into a live-action movie by 2019. So Disney had a lot going on for it, and they were in this sci-fi realm where they were introducing us to the concept of sci-fi and the Marvel multiverse, more than one Spider-Man, more than one Incredible Hulk. But as cool as I thought superheroes were, and as much as I thought they were real, hoping that Spider-Man was going to swoop down from out of nowhere and save my life after Stan Lee passed away, because I was a true believer, if there ever was a true believer, I think that Descendants and Zombies captivated my heart more than any franchise or anything Disney had promoted over the years, because Disney had kind of come out of producing video games based off their most successful franchises and all these merch like t-shirts and action figures and movies and expansions off of it. I think that years ago, you know, if you had a successful franchise like Aladdin and The Little Mermaid, you could expect it to become a trilogy like we saw for The Little Mermaid and Aladdin many years ago. 101 Dalmatians eventually came 102 Dalmatians. The Fox and the Hound. Disney was producing classics. So I really had a greater appreciation for Cinderella, because I remember how my mom used to rent movies at a local convenience store, and one of the movies I used to rent every weekend was either Peppy Longstocking or Cinderella. And I know that's very uncharacteristic for a guy to admit on a show but it's just my way of relating to people who may like Cinderella too, because Cinderella is technically one of the most revered princesses in Disney history, and the one princess that everybody can relate to, because she was just an everyday girl who wanted to achieve more. And I think are more everyday girls out there that want to achieve more in their own life than ever given credit for. And through seeing Malia Baker's portrayal of the Chloe Charming character, they felt more confident and more aspired to become something far greater than anybody ever thought they would ever amount to. And that's what's so beautiful about Descendants of Zombies. It gives you a chance. It gives you a chance at hope existing. It gives you a chance at finding true love. And I think that everybody at one point or another gets to a point in their life that's very pivotal, where they stand back and they put their life into perspective and say, this was really meant to happen for me. And I think true love really exists for everybody out there. And that's what I've always and forever wanted to convey on this YouTube channel. If I wanted to convey one positive message on this YouTube channel, is that hope exists for everybody out there, and everybody deserves a chance. No matter how Kylie Control's boyfriend may or may not have felt it better, Kylie Control has some of the best friends in each and every one of us, because we've never quit on Kylie Control, and each time she misses her friends and she's crying on YouTube videos, she needs to come to terms with the fact that her greatest friends are always and forever around her and have forever and always been supportive of her. And I want Kylie Control to know that everything is going to be okay. And especially you guys, because no matter what you may be going through, struggling with identity crisis, struggling with a place in the world, struggling with peer pressure, the thing is, you guys are special in your own way, and I've never ever wanted you to forget that. Because the thing is, that's what Descendants of Zombies is trying to encourage us, to believe in ourselves more, to achieve every dream that we have. And I know I sound like a broken record every single time I upload a video, but the thing is, if there's one thing I want to convey on these videos, it's that a person doesn't have to feel the way they do because they're being bullied. A person can make a difference. And how a person can make a difference is being a friend to somebody who you don't necessarily think needs a friend in this lifetime. I think everybody deserves to have a special friend they can keep forever in their lifetime. And I think we have all at least one special friend that we always remember. I used to have a friend named Craig who used to be hanging at my house every weekend playing games like Grand Theft Auto and Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. And we bonded over playing games like Resident Evil and Spyro the Dragon and Max Payne, because we were very passionate about playing video games. But through playing video games, we not only had the honor of playing video games every weekend, every Friday and Saturday evening, along with playing music in a shed, we bonded over mutual understanding and got to know each other through the conversations we would have on the phone every time we would meet up and hang out. I think that opportunities like this only happen once in a lifetime, and I think the more we take advantage of those opportunities, the more they stand out and the more significant they are. And I'm not just saying this because it's part of the show. I'm saying this because it's a fact of life. We can choose to be miserable for most of our lifetime, or we can choose to be the best of friends with everybody and stay loyal to the friends that have forever and always held a special place in our heart. And I think that's what's so special about Descendants of Zombies, the emphasis on how precious time actually is, because sometimes we take it for granted. Because the thing about time is it always runs out. So because time always runs out, it's always about what we do with the time that we are allocated. And I think that if we have slumber parties watching Descendants of Zombies, if we hang out because we're fans of Descendants of Zombies and we look at our dolls and we show off our merchandise and our t-shirts and our hoodies, which look absolutely fabulous, mind you, I think it gives us a chance to get to know each other better, because some of the most beautiful friendships of all time have happened because of Descendants of Zombies. And it's just a simple age-old question of, are you a fan of Descendants of Zombies? When those girls showed up at my door for the first time many years ago on Halloween trying to get me to guess who they were as their favorite Descendants characters, I didn't know who they were, but they knew I was on YouTube and they wanted me to create a show for each and every one of you that we could bond over, and many years later they got exactly what they wanted. They may have thought I was crazy for uploading videos about Descendants of Zombies or whatever niche I was providing commentary at the time, but what they were trying to let me know made perfect sense. Descendants of Zombies fans are incredibly loyal to who and what they love, and Descendants of Zombies fans know what they want, and because Descendants of Zombies fans know what they want, their love is unconditional. And I think that the respect for you guys is very mutual with your favorite Descendants of Zombie stars who perform on that stage every night, who don't deserve to be criticized, and feel the way they do because of some stupid YouTube video that is uploaded to YouTube every day. Because I think that if you're talking about a franchise, even like High School Musical achieved so much severity because of the music. It was never because of the story, because the story really made no sense to me whatsoever. All the story revolved around was the trials and tribulations of peer pressure and how Gabriella and Troy wanted to spend the rest of their lives together. And that stage production has had so many variations told of it through high school productions and various stage productions over the years. I know because I've been a part of them and I've seen them with my own two eyes. But Descendants doesn't always rely on music. It also has a powerful story. And if you take the story out of Descendants, it still has reliable music to fall back on. Because I think everybody could relate to a song from the Descendants soundtrack. Ways to be Wicked, Rotten to the Core, If Only, Space Between, Life is Sweeter When You Are, Fight of Our Lives, Red. They were songs we could identify with because we saw ourselves through the eyes of the characters that were trying to get a point across through every song. And I can listen to these songs thousands of times, if not millions, because I feel just as inspired as each and every one of you. Because Disney was in a generation at the turn of the millennium where they were coming up with great animated shows like Darkwing Duck and DuckTales that had great songs. Everybody remembers the theme song of Spintails and DuckTales and Darkwing Duck because of how catchy they were. Bonkers was another one. Goof Troop was one of the most popular theme songs for a TV show of the 1990s. And I never ever forgot it. That and Goofy Movie forever and always held a special place in my heart. So it's really nice to know that Disney is presenting a nice vibe with their music. And, after coming out of a generation that prided itself on video game development and board games, now we've come into a generation where the stars are the focal point. The stars are who are offering us inspiration. And that's something to be really excited about. So because they're offering us so much inspiration, I think there's never been more opportunity to become more apparent to enjoy the time that we have as Descendants fans, because there are millions of Descendants fans out there in this really big universe. But I've always believed the universe is only so big. So because I believe the universe is only so big, I think that tens of millions of people can support Freya Sky, can support Kylie Cantrell, can support Malia Baker in so many infallible ways that makes these franchises stand out and achieve more reverity than every other Disney Channel franchise of all time. Because we can talk about High School Musical and Wizards of Waverly Place as much as we want, but I don't think they're ever as revered as what Descendants and Zombies became because of just the passion that exists inside of our hearts because of the franchise and what they've meant to us. Because I think forever and always we've felt a part of something special. We've always wanted to be a part of something spectacular. That was a Nickelodeon production years ago called Spectacular, starring Victoria Justice. But the thing was about Spectacular was Spectacular as revered of a musical as what something like Descendants and Zombies became? No, I don't think so. Because of the music, because of the script making sense. And really, when you're producing a musical, everything about it has to make perfect sense. And I think Descendants and Zombies was the first one to make perfect sense in a really long time. And that's what's so cool about this generation of Disney fans. They know who and what they love, and they can find time in appreciating it. They can find time in appreciating the Cinderella story and Alice in Wonderland story. Even if they don't know who the characters are, Disney Plus provides us with an incredible opportunity to go back and relive the original trilogy, relive the original Rise of Red, leading up to the premiere of Descendants 5 Book of Wonderland, which is a title that I find very intriguing, that can offer more storylines than ever before. And I think now more than ever before, it's very apparent that we're going to be a part of history, and this history is going to be something very special to a lot of people that's going to mean so much to a lot of people. And I'm honestly really excited about it because I want to know where this story is going to take us. I think that this story is beautiful. I think that more people can support it and find time in really appreciating what the story has meant to us for the last 10 years. It's really hard to believe that a decade has come and gone, and more people than ever before love Descendants and Zombies so much. And I know that a lot of people don't upload a lot of videos about Descendants and Zombies, but I've always wanted to go out of my way to make sure there's at least one new video uploaded every day per day about Descendants and Zombies for each and every one of you. That's why I'll come back tonight. Because I think if we're going to show up on YouTube and talk about Descendants and Zombies, and that's precisely what we should do, is we should show up on YouTube and we should talk about Descendants and Zombies the way people want it to be heard and talked about and showcased. Because a lot of people aren't showcasing Descendants and Zombies by uploading one reaction video every 6 months and then promising you they're going to upload a new Descendants and Zombies video before you know it, and it never surfaces. So I think that at least on this YouTube channel, after 500 videos have been uploaded on this YouTube channel, I have succeeded in fulfilling my destiny of touching somebody's heart, because it's all I've ever wanted to do. It was never about qualifying for YouTube partnership program opportunities or monetization opportunities, chances that only happen once in a lifetime for me. I just always loved being on YouTube, and with how fame has always had a consistent habit of following me everywhere I went, and fame has always been associated with me just as the Descendants franchise and talking about it has been associated with my voice. It really has become the greatest honor of my life to be able to sit here and talk about Descendants and Zombies for you guys, because I know how much these franchises mean to each and every one of you because you grew up with them. You know, years ago I grew up with so many franchises that I fell in love with, like Wizards and Hannah Montana, but I can never remember having a franchise have such a profound impact being left on my heart such as or quite like Descendants and Zombies. It's been an experience and a time in my life I will never ever forget. And seriously, guys, thank you so much for that opportunity. Thank you so much for allowing me to have been your voice of Descendants and Zombies. So I think you're going to want to think about hitting my subscribe button, hitting my like button, and sharing this video, because I have a lot to say where Descendants and Zombies goes for the foreseeable future, because one had best believe this story is far from over. So because this story is far from over, I think there is way much more to discuss. And we will get into all that tonight on the final episode of Jonathan Clarke Video Blogs that will stream throughout the evening. Keep waiting for that video to drop. Keep watching for it, because I assure you there is always an opportunity for conversation to happen about Descendants and Zombies, and it will happen for you forever and always and be made possible because of how much you believe in these franchises on this YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for almost 4,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for over 75,000 channel views plus, and thank you guys so much for showing your love and support for this channel, which has forever and always meant so much to me and held a special place in my heart. It means the world to me to be your voice of Descendants and Zombies moving forward into the foreseeable future, which I am incredibly excited about, because life is that much sweeter when all of us are. Seriously, guys, from my heart to yours, thank you so much.